Welcome to the CEO Camper Podcast, where we talk about being a badass CEO in business and life, but also getting out into nature more and making it really easy. I'm your host, Jessica Ryder, a 14-year veteran of camping and have 16 years of business driving teams and companies to purposeful growth under my belt. I am here to help you get out into nature, reset yourself so you can continue to be that badass CEO. So let's dive in to the CEO Camper Podcast. I wanted to do a quick episode today on the costs of traveling that people may not think about. And I want to compare this to airfare, but remember, I haven't flown in years and years and years, so I'll just be perfectly open and honest. I don't know how much it costs. I imagine for two people to fly, pay for extra baggage fees, pay for parking, forever, how many days or whatever, you're talking about $1,000 plus wherever you're going, hotel, all that kind of stuff. So what I wanted to do today was compare that to owning a camper and then traveling for that, right? So here are costs that you need to consider. Obviously, you have the cost of the camper, right? Whether you're paying for that outright or you're paying for that monthly, whatever. You have a cost for that. There's also a cost for storage fees if you are going to store your camper somewhere. For us, we can store a camper at our home, so there's no fee associated with that. Also, if you need to get a new vehicle to tow your camper, there's a cost with that, whether you pay outright or you pay monthly, right? In addition, you're going to have insurance. I would suggest getting insurance on your camper, but also you need to talk to your insurance agent about that. That's between you and them. Some people don't. Some people just let their car insurance take care of it, but just know what your policy is. Know that there could be an extra cost with that. So additionally to that, that's not even the right word. Anyway, in addition to that, let's compare a week-long trip to what it would take for you to fly. Okay. So as you guys know, recently did a week-long trip. I can tell you that trip round trip, I guess is the right word. I stayed at 2 campgrounds. I obviously had all my gas, and the cost of food was no different. I'm not putting in cost of food because it would be no different than if I was at home because I packed all my own food. Tolls, all that kind of stuff. So round trip, that cost me a little over $1,000, just about $1,100 to do that entire trip. Now, some of that was business, some of that gets, sent through business account, all that kind of stuff. That was me by myself, solo traveling. Rusty came and met me on the weekend, but that was gas, both campgrounds, and that was pretty much it. That's all I had to pay for. Gas, campgrounds. I had a couple highway tolls in there, but that's it. So about $1,100 for that. Now, if you compare that to flying, say you're going to go on a business trip by yourself, you're going to be gone for a whole week. Okay. Flights, probably $500-$600, something like that, round trip, depending on where you're going. And then you're going to have your hotel. So for a week-long hotel, if you're there I was there Sunday to Sunday. So what is that? 7 nights? Yeah, 7 nights. And even if you say somewhere cheap at $100 a night, that's $700 right there. So between your flight and your airfare, you're already at $1,300. Now you have to do all your food. Actually, before you do food, you might have extra baggage fees because you are going for a week and you may need extra bags. Let's just call it $100 on that. So now you're up to $1,400. Now you're going to need to do all your food. I don't know how you eat. I don't eat cheap, right? I'm not going to McDonald's. If I'm eating out, I'm not going to McDonald's. I'm not doing any of that crap. I'm going to a Panera. If that's maybe the basics that I'll go to is a Panera, right? But I'm trying to go to somewhere that has healthy food. So obviously I'm going to be paying a little bit more for that. So I don't know what a week long of food will cost you, but I imagine it's $500 or $600 when you look at it. If you're eating every meal out, let's say you're even doing like breakfast at the hotel, right? Complimentary breakfast. Hopefully you're booking something like that. You can maybe even get by with like $300 or $400. So if we're already at $1,400 and we're adding another $400, now we're at $1,800 for a week-long business trip. And that doesn't include a rental car. I mean, that's going to cost you a couple $100 for a week. So now you're over $2,000. And you're going to have to put gas in that rental car. So now you got gas on top of that. I mean, you're talking about a $2,500 trip for a week. And I just did a trip for $1,100. So it seems like the logical choice, right? It seems like the choice to do would be to travel RV if you don't mind driving. I'm telling you guys right now, like I live in St. Louis. I'm not driving to California for a business trip. I'm just not. There's a trip that I might have to take in November that is in Arizona. I probably, if I end up having to go on that trip, I'll drive because I won't fly. But that's a long trip to take. And then by the time you guys are listening to this, we will have made our trip to North Carolina for my younger brother's wedding. We did not take the camper because it's a 14-hour drive. We just didn't want to take the camper that far. It's a long way. The camper slows you down a little bit. So you have to remember, like, if it's 14 hours just in a car, it's probably an extra, hour or two maybe, because you're not driving 95 like I do when you have the camper. So anyway, back to some of the costs. Obviously gas costs, but if you're renting a car, like you're going to have those costs anyway. Yes, the cost of my diesel is a little bit more, but it's probably going to, when you're comparing gas to gas, yes, it's having a diesel, having a truck that hauls a rig is going to be more expensive. But if that is your mode of travel and you compare it to traveling by plane, you have a rental car and you have a plane. So if the plane costs you $500 and the rental car costs you $300, now you're $800 in and I'm only $500 in, right? Highway tolls, yes, you're going to have to pay highway tolls. Missouri, we don't have tolls, but Illinois, like I have to go through Illinois a lot. They have tolls when you get up towards Chicago area. Indiana has some tolls, things like that. So yes, I had to pay tolls. I think I paid, $10, $15, $20 in tolls. So be prepared for that. And then beyond that, like when you get to the campground, there should not be any other fees. Like everything that you need should be included. Just make sure, like when you do book it, Wi-Fi is included. I know one of the sites that I booked, like Wi-Fi was not included, but it was like an extra fee. And when we go camping on the weekends, like the one place that we go to the most, it is not, Wi-Fi is not included, but you can pay for it. And it's like $4 a day for a 24-hour period for 3 devices, or it's $20 for a week. So we do a week-long trip up there in November, and I'll just pay for the week. And then I just have Wi-Fi on my phone, on my laptop, and usually on Rusty's phone for the entire week. So make sure Wi-Fi is included or not. That can be an extra cost. And then if we go outside of just making a trip, you do have maintenance costs on an RV, right? You're going to have things that break. It's just like your home. There's going to be things that you have to replace. There's going to be things that you have to do. So when you're comparing costs, yes, an RV can be really big upfront cost, right? But if this is the way that you want to start traveling, if this is the way you want to combine business and time with your family, or business and your connection to nature, or business, and for me, like business and reconnecting to your purpose, then it was worth it. This is the way I want to live my life. This is the lifestyle I am choosing to live. So the cost up front is definitely worth it. And then yes, you have some costs, throughout your travel or whatever. But think of how many business trips you go on in a year. Or I guess I should say, how many business trips did you go on? How much did each one of those business trips cost you? Yes, it's a business expense. Yes, you can write it off. Yes, whatever your tax implications are for that are different for everybody, but I can do the same thing. I just drive and I enjoy it more. I listen, obviously I don't read books, but I'll listen to podcasts or do whatever. I enjoy it. I enjoy having my own space. I am a creature of habit. I love my own space. I love being able to stay in my routine. I love being able to stay healthy with my food, with my fitness, and just like keep my routine and not have to worry about anybody else's schedule or control over my schedule. So, yes, there are costs to owning an RV. Yes, it can be more expensive up front, but you have to weigh that cost with how often you're going to use it. What's the long-term plan here? And does it make more sense? And then obviously get with your CPA and see if you can write this sucker off as a business expense. So if you have any other questions on the cost or want me to break down anything for you, I'm happy to do that. I know this was kind of surface level and I just kind of hit on a few things, but if you want to know more of the costs and break it down, I'm happy to do that. Again, it was definitely cheaper for me to drive and stay at campgrounds than it was for me to fly, pay extra baggage fees, rent a car, pay for all my food, and get a hotel. So hope you enjoyed that. Again, questions, hit me up below, and I'm happy to help. Thank you for listening today. As you can tell, I am pretty passionate about business, camping, and balancing them both in my daily life. If you want to connect with me more, I included all the links in the show notes, including my camping brand pull-through sites, my personal pages, and also a really quick questionnaire to figure out how I can help customize your camping experience. I appreciate you, and I hope you got something out of the show today. If you did, please share this with someone else who needs to hear it, and leave a review. If you leave a review, I'll send you a free copy of my book, How Camping Saved My Life: The Journey from Hospital Bed to Nature. Thanks again. Talk soon.